So hear me out. Okay, what is the most profitable business that's ever existed for all of time and never went away? And it's what the most powerful people in the world all want. Slavery. Okay, slavery, to be able to control another human being. We have free will, right? That's the problem with slavery. There's an element of illusion to it. You have to get the person to choose to be a slave. That's why what Kanye West said bothered certain people so much, because he said slavery is a choice. And that's so unbelievably true and empowering that people that don't want to accept their role in their own slavery get very angry. You have these movies and these images of whips and chains and all this stuff. It's not logistically possible to do that. Like, you couldn't have barbed wire all around a farm and constantly beat everybody. It has to be choice. So how do you get someone to choose to be a slave? Debt and sin, addiction. An addict will do anything to get the thing they're addicted to. And when you're in debt, you have to pay back the loan. So what are the two biggest industries for any government or any powerful oligarch? War and drugs. You look at what governments do. Afghanistan, the Opium War, Vietnam, all these wars, every single one of them, none of them have to do with anything that they're saying they're for. It's about debt collection. That's it. It's all about a balance sheet, World War I, World War II, all of it, and drugs. Think about what you go to jail for in America. You go to jail, if you try to sell drugs, they put you in a little cell, but they sell drugs. That's what a cartel would do, right? So war gets people in tremendous debt really fast. Because if you can convince a population it's life or death, their families could get killed, there's bombs falling, they have an enemy of their mother, their homeland, their tribe, their nation, they will spend everything to either survive or destroy the other group. Now, the people doing that know that it's a spell. That's why I do How to Slay a Wizard. These are spells. These are narratives given to people so that they can carry out the will of slave owners and people that give out loans and drug dealers. Now, I'm not placing the blame on them, because in the end of the day, you choose to do the drug, right? It's you choose to do the drug. It's an addiction, and it's your choice. Same with debt. You choose to take out something from the future for now. That's why sins are so dangerous, because that leads to slavery, and slavery is always a choice. That's why people can't face this. This is why I can be so flippant with slavery jokes, is because it's what we live every day. It's just every culture and every time period has a different type. Debt is slavery, money is debt, family is wealth, gratitude is wealth, health is wealth. So what did Charlie Kirk really oppose? Like, what is Israel? Okay? I think Charlie Kirk really believed a lot of this stuff because they, quote unquote, need true believers that will still sell what they're told to sell. I was one of them. When I was a comedian in Hollywood, I was selling alcohol and promiscuity. I was never told that was my job. I was just having a blast. And my God-given talent with piano and comedy would allow people to trust me and feel it and go with it. And I'm doing shots on stage and everyone's having a blast. And the slavery aspect of what I was selling was alcohol, and that leads to slavery, and promiscuity, which leads to slavery, because they're addictions. And once I realized that, I couldn't believe it. Like, how many sitcoms, how many movies have an agenda, but they're just using talented people. The Mars family that own the candy bars and all the pet food, they also own cancer clinics and veterinarian clinics. Like, they want you kind of sick so that they can profit forever, right? This is the nature of this world. To get a country to go to war, you put them in debt and you make them slaves. Or it's all about Israel. Why? War. It's not even religious. I mean, it's religious in a sense, with the other side there. But it's all about getting people to commit to the narrative that leads to addiction and war. Because you go to war, then you get hooked on pills. Like, pills are to numb your conscience. That's like a woman at 40 in debt, not married, in a cubicle, working for a boss that sexually harasses her. And those are the people that are on pills because they don't feel right? It's a spiritual wound. And I've lost people that fought in war. That's why there's a personal thing for me. They come home, they need drugs, or they think they need drugs, and because they saw what it really was. They're just enforcers. Like, growing up, I'd watch sports. And the first time one of my guys was traded, it shattered my reality. I thought I was watching tribes fighting, or same with WWE or WWF. Like, you'd see the Ultimate Warrior fighting somebody else, and and then you'd see them hanging out, and it kind of shatters your illusion. So here's an example. You're a Dallas football fan, and they're playing the Green Bay Packers, and they're at war. Now, there's someone who owns the stadium, and let's say you're Coca-Cola or Pepsi. They don't care who wins. They just care if there's people there to buy Coke or Pepsi. So Coke and Pepsi think they're at war. But then there's the distributor of high fructose corn syrup. And then you have the majority shareholder, BlackRock, that owns both of them. You understand? There's not really the wars going on that you think. So look at Israel. Israel is an agitation device. A lot of Israelis are not in on this. They're easy to wind up. They're very manipulatable. And a lot of them are in this finance world and all this stuff. And you can get them terrified and all freaked out. And then you get the evangelicals to associate with that. And then you have the Saudis and these tribal people and oil. So what is the point of that? Let's say you're selling Coca-Cola. You don't care who's winning the football game. DuPont sells the chemicals of war. And that's the business. Because war, if you can get a country to go to war, they will go into debt forever. And then you can own everything of theirs. And you can do it a variety of ways. You can do it with envy. A lot of the global south, that's the strategy. Where you go to Egypt and you say, don't you want to be more European and less African? And the guy's like, this is a true story. The guy's like, yeah. And he borrows all this money to modernize Egypt and Alexandria and all this stuff. And people are calling him the Magnificent. And then the debt payments start coming in. Before you know it, the British show up with warships and they now own the Suez Canal. All right. War is simply the enforcement of contracts. And then they repossess everything that your nation holds dear, including human life. Okay, if you get people in a war, they will get into debt. And when you're in debt, you're a slave. Same with vice. You confuse people, you damage them, you traumatize them. They're going to reach for the bottle or the pill to get through the day. And then you're a slave. Okay. The truly free man is not the one who has the assets. It's the one who does not have dependency, right? Dependency is slavery, or is slavery. To not be dependent. You're not addicted. You're not in debt. You're free. That doesn't mean you're rich. You could be poor, but you're not trapped. You know, if you can convince someone that there's another group of people that are filled with hate and terror, and at any moment they can kill you and your way of life, you will be like, I will stop at nothing. Remember when 9/11 first happened? And even I was like, this will not stand. I will stop at nothing, right? And the more gung-ho and tribal they can get people, the more bonds of war they buy, the more they pump that up. Even the victor loses. After World War II, America got all of England's bases. They were in debt to us for the Lend-Lease for like 80 years. They were in breadlines. They didn't win. Germany didn't win. Little groups did. You know, even some of the boot boys, they just started buying corporations. They saw the bigger picture of it. It's about the slave trade. Whether it's salt or spices or heroin, that's all it is. So when you have Charlie Kirk, when you have someone whose face is that listened to and believed, and he has a network, again, someone like me doesn't matter. But if you're selling Agent Orange, you're selling gunpowder, you're selling I believe the spell of the Iron Dome, or, you know, missiles, or, you know, a $300 million plane that needs $100 million of new technology every year. It's all just money pump. The money doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from your kids. It puts your people in debt until the money has to inflate and then crash, right? And so that's the harvest. And so if you have skills, you have love, you don't have debt, you want maybe gold and silver, some land, some tools, you actually end up like benefiting. Like, this isn't a black pill, okay? And I believe my theology says God allows this as a test. Like, the devil gets in, however you see it, you know, whether it's just right or wrong or the universe or whatever. I think the devil gets to test you. Like, are you going to take the easy route? Do you want something for nothing? Are you an idol of yourself? Are you grateful, right? And so if you fail that test, you know, you're a slave. And then you can get out of that, but you just have to work your way out of that, you know?